Hi everyone, Nicole back again today to share with you a couple tips on how to use these Hexagon placemats from Jillibean Soup. Get a lot of questions on the Jillibean blog about what to do with the Hexagon or any of the placemats. So today I'm going to share with you how I created the background for this page. So let's go ahead and get started and gather a few quick supplies. First thing you'll need is a Hexagon placemat, some Hexi stickers, some scraps of Jillibean Soup, some assorted embellishments, and your basic supply kit. Now here's what I've pulled out for my project. I have the white Hexagon background placemat, and that's a full 12 by 12 size. I've also pulled out one of the papers from the Irish farmhouse soup for my base of my background. You could also use cardstock if you wanted. And as you can see here, I have a whole lot of scraps in all different sizes, even really tiny ones, and even some larger pieces. So don't throw away anything. If you're like me, keep everything. I also have my Hexi stickers nearby because I know that those will work perfectly for my page, and my photo, of course, and stamps and embellishments. What we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to just grab a scrap piece of white cardstock, and I'm just going to actually create a template. So the best way to do this is to grab your Hexagon placemat and your pencil and just trace out the large hexagon shape onto your cardstock. So just draw along the inside edge, and when you're done, you're going to want to cut it out. Now, when I cut mine out, what I did is I didn't actually cut on my pencil line. I left about a quarter, actually probably about 1/8 of an inch all the way around the outside. So they have, at the end, I have a little bit of an overlap that will fit underneath your placemat. That way, when you want to adhere it to the back, it's really easy, and you won't have any paper flipping up inside of your design. So that's how I created mine. It just seems like the easiest way for me. So you can kind of see here, I just have a tiny little edge, just a little bit around, just so it has something to stick to the back of your placemat. I'm just going to show you really quickly here how that works, and you can also see that there are two different directions to this placemat, so depending on how you cut it, you'll want to line that up, your placemat, properly. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to grab my base paper and my Hexagon placemat, and I'm also going to grab my template, and you can see here that when you line it up underneath, again, it fits really nice and you can't see the paper edges from the template. I'm going to take my template that we've made along with my scraps of paper, and I'm just going to trace that onto each of the scraps of paper on the back side. So if you want to do it on the front, that's fine too, but you'll have to erase your pencil marks on every single piece of patterned paper. I don't like to do that, so I cut out the background of mine. Because we trimmed that 1/8 of an inch earlier when we made the template, you don't need to do that anymore. You just need to trim it exactly to your pencil line, and it should fit nice and neat tucked underneath your hexagon, just like that. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to use some scraps of paper and my template and cut out some more hexagon shapes. I've done that earlier, and as you can see, I'm just going to go ahead and organize those pieces into the similar patterns and colors. For when I created on my page, I want to put them down in a specific order. As you can see here, I have a couple different patterns of paper as well as colors. So I have a really, I guess you could say, least busy paper for me is going to be my white cardstock. That's just to ease your eye up a bit onto your paper. I also have some busier papers like the red one I'm using right now. There's one from the Irish farmhouse soup that has a number grid on it, and there's also a floral that's pretty busy. Now I've also picked some medium busy patterns. For example, there's a grid paper that I used off the back of one of the bit-sized bites. I believe that one was from Irish Farmhouse also. And I used some of the soup staples, which are good with, honestly, every single line we have. Those things are my favorite. So if you haven't gotten those yet, you really should. So I'm just going to go ahead and play around with this a little bit. I'm going to speed up the video, and just you can see that I'm going to work the hexagon shapes now into behind my placemat, and I'm going to make a triangle with each color. So as you can see that I just did with the black number grid is I'm going to add one like in a sort of a triangle pattern on my page. So your eye moves all the time across the layout and not just all into one area. So I'm just going to speed this up a little so you can see what I've done. So now I've gone ahead and I've laid all my pieces out, and I've actually glued down a few of them. So I'm just going to show you how I went and did that without moving everything completely off your page. There's two ways of doing it. You can either add adhesive behind your hexagon shape and just tuck it under your mat while keeping the other side stable. Or you can just put a little tiny bit of adhesive, leaving your hexagon mat in place, and then just tucking your hexagon shape underneath, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I found that that was the easiest way for me to do that, is just to keep that shape there. And so things just didn't move around as much. Now, also, what you didn't see, what I didn't mention, is I took just a little glass bowl and kept it in the top corner of my hexagon placemat so that things didn't move around too much. At this point, I know where all the pieces of paper are going to go, but so if they move, they're still going to be in the general area of where I want them. But still, if you don't want things to move too much, you'll need to put some sort of little weights or even just like a glass bowl like I did, just to keep your placemat secure. Okay, at this point now you're ready to trim off anything you have hanging over the edge. And if you wanted to trim down your paper more, you could do that at this point too. So I'm just going to quickly trim off this hexagon here and run my scissors along the edge just to make sure I have no little bits of paper overhanging. So at this point you're ready to stick your hexagon placemat down. Now you do it by two ways. One, you can take some foam adhesive, like a 3-dimensional pop dot or foam adhesive, and you could add it to the back of your placemat in several different areas, making sure you do quite a bit in the middle of the page. And I really love that look. It adds a lot of dimension and texture, but in my case, because I know I want to add some sewing to my page, and I really, where I want to place my photo, I'm going to add a lot of dimension there, so I don't want it too chunky. So I'm just going to add some tape runner to the back of my paper, and I'm just going to lie it again over top of all the hexagons I had previously stuck down. Now I didn't want to do that before because, again, when we cut the hexagon template, it was a little bit larger than that hole there in the middle. So you can see that mine's all ready to go. Now the next thing we're going to do is take some of those hexi stickers, which I'm going to tell you is brilliant for this hexagon placemat because, first of all, there's so many different colors, but they fit perfectly inside the center of the hexagon placemat. Now you can see here they're actually probably the same size as the hexagon template that we just created for our pattern paper. So there's a tiny little of an overlap, and so you can either place them on top of the hexagon placemat, or you can just tuck them underneath like I did there. And so I'm going to go ahead and just add a couple more around my page, and I'm probably going to add more near the end of my project to embellish further once I have my photo and other papers and embellishments and title and everything on the page. But for now, I have a pretty good idea what I want to be doing, so I'm going to go ahead and just add a couple little items here so I can add some journaling or stamping later. And now my placemat is basically complete. So at this point, I'm going to turn off the camera and come back with my finished project. Here's a couple close-up photos of my completed project. You can see that I've added some stamped images to the hexagon stickers, and you can really see how great they do tuck in behind that hexagon placemat. And really, they go really well with your pattern paper and the hexagon template itself. And I'm sure you can see how versatile using these placemats really are. All you have to do is change up the patterns of paper, or you could use it as a mask. There's a million different things you can do with it. And given that you can get them in craft and white, it doubles your possibilities there. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a bunch of new ideas now to use those placemats. I'm sure you have in your stash. Thanks again for visiting us here on the Jillibean Soup blog. We look forward to your feedback and seeing your projects on our Facebook page.